A new charity's been launched aimed at helping save our furry friends from natural disasters. To tell us more about Animal Evac New Zealand, we're joined by the Trust's co-founder, Steve Glassey. Steve, good morning to you.
Morena, Pippa.
Tell me how this will work.
How it will work? Well, we're going to establish a pool of volunteers throughout New Zealand that will be able to assist civil defence and emergency services to make sure that no pets are left behind during disasters.
I know that you were heavily involved in the aftermath of the Edgecombe floods. What inspired you to start this charity?
Well, with Edgecombe, over 1,000 animals were left behind. There wasn't really a plan until really the SPCA stepped in. And with climate change, we know that there'll be more Edgecombes. We have to do things better. The Nelson floods, we had disability assist dogs not allowed in welfare centres, and the Christchurch quake, we had people breaking cordons to go back to get their pets. So simply the arrangements aren't sufficient. Our role is to support the current arrangements to improve that so that we can keep family units, including the fur babies, together.
So let's look at Edgecombe as an example. What would happen in that situation? You would mobilise people to go in and work with emergency services to make sure that animals were cared for, that they were looked after, that they were rescued if required?
Absolutely. So one of the roles that we are going to be undertaking is assisting with evacuations and then the temporary sheltering. So the SPCA's National Rescue Unit and other teams like Massey University's Veterinary Response Team, they'll do some of the more high-risk activities in the floodwaters. We'll be helping with mainly like door-to-door evacuations and then making sure that those animals that have been displaced are cared for like at a community facility until we can pass them on to like a partner organisation like Hoo-Ha, which is a non-kill animal shelter in New Zealand.
So animal owners, should we be doing more, I guess, to be prepared for something if emergency strikes?
Definitely. There's probably two things people can take away from today. One is making sure your animal is microchipped. So whether it's a cat or a dog or a guinea pig, make sure your animal is microchipped and registered with the New Zealand Companion Animal Register and making sure those details are up to date. Secondly, if you have small animals, making sure you have a pet carrier for each animal, because if you do own multiple pets, typically you only have one pet carrier because usually only one gets sick to go to the vet at any one time.
So if you are getting warning of something that's happening, floods for example, you know that the weather's heading in that direction, should you be trying to get cats, get your dogs, get your animals together, get them, I guess, locked and loaded so that if you do need to evacuate, they're good to go?
That's a really good point. And so we definitely want to make sure that if there's a chance that you may have to evacuate, find your animals, because this has been a problem in a number of emergencies. People simply haven't had enough time. So yeah, get them in, but in some countries or in some states like Texas, it's actually illegal to leave your pets outside in extreme weather, or certainly tethered. So we want to make sure that those sort of provisions are considered here in New Zealand.
Steve, I know you had, I think, was it 30 years with the SPCA? How do you sort of work alongside them? Why do we need Animal Evac as well as, I guess, what the SPCA has already done?
Well, the SPCA has a certain function. I suppose our role is that this is our core focus. It's all we're going to be doing. We don't come with any other sort of conditions. We're not a compliance agency, which also means that for organisations like laboratories, like poultry farms, they can have confidence that we're going to come in. There's no judgment, there's no compliance. We're like the neutral Red Cross for the animals. So we're going to come in and do the right thing.
I know you've talked a little bit about changing legislation or improving laws as well. What do you want to see changed?
There's quite a bit that needs to be changed. So following Hurricane Katrina, 44% of those that stayed behind did so in part because they couldn't take their animals. That was policy of the government at that time. Within a year of Katrina, they passed specific legislation that mandated plans, funding and the rescue and sheltering of pets. We are still yet to sort of catch up to that learning of over 12 years ago. So we did have a national hui on animal welfare earlier this month. That was fantastic, and now the politicians are listening and we're looking forward to working with them to put New Zealand on the world stage as world leaders in animal disaster management.
Brilliant. Steve, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Steve Glassey from Animal Evac New Zealand.